The person you love is urging you to read this message immediately, because something huge just happened, and the truth behind it may change the way you understand every silent moment between you. My beloved child, do not skip, because your person has reached a point where keeping their feelings hidden is no longer possible. Something occurred when they least expected it, and in a single moment the walls they had spent so long building began to fall apart. They have tried to appear calm. They have tried to continue with their normal routine. But inside, they are replaying your name, your voice, and one unforgettable memory that suddenly revealed what their heart has been refusing to admit. Stay till the end because something huge is waiting for you, and the message they are preparing carries a confession they once believed they would never have the courage to make. Your person did not wake up expecting their life to change. The day began like any other. They followed their usual routine, answered ordinary questions, and gave the impression that everything was under control. Yet beneath that controlled appearance, your memory had already been moving quietly through their mind. They had been thinking about you more often than they wanted anyone to know. Sometimes the thought appeared during a song. Sometimes it arrived while they were sitting alone after everyone else had gone. Sometimes your face entered their mind during the most unexpected moments, and they would immediately distract themselves before the emotion became too strong. They believed they could continue doing this forever. Then something happened that removed every excuse. Do not skip because this was not a small reminder. It forced them to see the entire connection differently. For a long time, your person had convinced themselves that silence was the safest choice. They told themselves that reaching out might create confusion. They believed too much time had passed. They imagined that you had already healed, changed, or chosen a future where they no longer belonged. Each of those thoughts gave them another reason to remain distant. But silence never gave them peace. It only made the unanswered questions louder. They wondered whether you ever missed them. They wondered whether you interpreted their distance as rejection. They wondered whether you had waited for an explanation, until waiting became too painful. Even when they tried to move forward, a part of them remained attached to the moment. When everything between you became uncertain, stay till the end, because the event that just occurred gave them an answer they were not prepared to receive. Someone mentioned you during a conversation your person never expected to have. At first, your name was spoken casually, almost as if it carried no special meaning. But the moment they heard it, their entire expression changed. They tried to hide the reaction, yet the person speaking noticed. There was a pause, followed by a question your person had been avoiding for months. Why do you still react like that whenever their name is mentioned? Your person laughed softly and attempted to dismiss it. They said the past was finished. They said certain memories simply take time to disappear. But the person watching them did not believe the explanation. They could see that your person was not remembering an ordinary chapter. They were remembering someone who still had a living place inside their heart. Do not skip because the next question broke through the final layer of denial. The person asked, if they contacted you tonight and told you the truth, would you still walk away? Your person became silent. They had imagined many conversations with you, but no one had ever asked the question so directly. For several seconds, they searched for a confident answer. They wanted to say they would remain unaffected. They wanted to prove that the connection no longer controlled them. Instead, your person looked away because the honest answer was already rising inside them. They did not know whether they could walk away. They did not even know whether walking away was what they truly wanted. Stay till the end, because this moment opened the door to a confession that had been trapped beneath pride, fear, and unfinished grief. Your person finally admitted that the story between you never received a real ending. There had been distance, but no complete truth. There had been silence, but no honest decision made together. One misunderstanding led to another, until both of you began protecting yourselves, instead of speaking. Your person had spent months treating that silence as an ending, because accepting an unfinished story felt too painful. Yet when asked what they would do if you returned with honesty, they could no longer pretend the answer was simple. They still carried feelings. They still carried questions. Most importantly, they still carried regret. Do not skip, because the regret was not only about losing you. It was about the one thing they did before the silence became permanent. There was a message they almost sent. Your person wrote it late at night, when the distance between you had become unbearable. They opened your conversation and typed the truth without planning every word. They admitted that they missed you. They wrote that their cold behavior had not represented their real feelings. They explained that fear had made them withdraw whenever the connection became serious. They nearly told you that they had imagined a future with you, but were terrified that caring so deeply would give you the power to break them. The message remained on the screen for a long time, then your person deleted it. They believed they would rewrite it when they felt calmer. They never did. Stay till the end, because what just happened brought every deleted word back into their mind. The person sitting with them revealed that you had once asked about your person. Not recently enough to answer every question, but recently enough to prove that you had not forgotten as quickly as they assumed. You had not spoken with anger. You had asked whether they were doing well. You had wondered if they had found happiness. And before changing the subject, you had quietly said that some connections remain important, even when communication disappears. Your person felt the air leave their chest when they heard this. They had spent so long believing your silence meant indifference. Now they were learning that you may have also carried memories, concern, and questions. Do not skip, because the exact words you used awakened something your person could no longer control. You said, "I never wanted things to end through confusion." That sentence was repeated to your person, and it stayed in the room like a truth. Neither of you had been brave enough to say directly. Your person remembered the final period between you. They remembered conversations where both of you spoke carefully, hiding more than you revealed. They remembered moments when you seemed to wait for reassurance, while they waited for you to prove your feelings first. They remembered answering briefly, because they were afraid of appearing too invested. They finally understood how those short responses may have convinced you to step back. Stay till the end, because your person is now seeing the separation from your side, and the realization is breaking their heart. Until this moment, they had focused mainly on how your silence affected them. They remembered waiting for your message. They remembered checking their phone and feeling disappointed. They remembered interpreting your distance as proof that they were not important enough. But now they are considering what you may have experienced. Perhaps you also waited. Perhaps you opened the conversation and closed it again. Perhaps you thought their coldness was a clear answer. Perhaps you decided that protecting your dignity meant no longer asking for attention from someone who appeared uncertain. Your person can finally see that both hearts may have been hurt by the same misunderstanding. Do not skip because that is when something huge happened inside them. For the first time, regret became stronger than pride. Your person left the conversation, carrying a question they could not silence. What if the connection did not fail because love was missing? What if it failed because both people were frightened at the same time? That question followed them home. It entered every quiet moment. They tried to watch something, work on something, and speak with others, but their mind kept returning to you. They imagined what might have happened if they had sent the deleted message. They imagined your response. Maybe you would have admitted that you missed them. Maybe you would have needed time. Maybe you would have been angry, but willing to listen. The future would still have been uncertain, but at least truth would have entered the story. Stay till the end because your person has decided that uncertainty created by honesty is better than regret created by silence. That evening, they opened your old conversation again. They had done this before, but this time everything looked different. They read messages they once interpreted through fear. A sentence that seemed casual now appeared careful, as though you had been protecting deeper emotion. A question about their day now felt like an attempt to remain connected. A final polite response, which they once considered cold, now sounded like someone trying not to reveal disappointment. Your person realized that words can change meaning when the heart finally stops defending itself. Do not skip because among those messages, they found one line they had almost forgotten, and it became the reason they are urging you to read this now. You had written, "I hope one day we can speak without pretending." At the time, your person did not understand the importance of that sentence. They responded with something ordinary, and moved away from the emotional meaning. Now those words feel like an invitation they failed to accept. You were not necessarily asking for a promise. You may have been asking for honesty. You may have wanted both of you to stop acting unaffected. Your person stared at that line, until their eyes filled with tears. They saw how close the truth had once been, and how quickly fear had pushed it away. Stay till the end because your person has now written a response to a message that may have been waiting far longer than either of you realized. They began typing slowly. The first sentence said, "I finally understand what you meant." Then they stopped. It felt too small for everything they needed to say. They erased it and tried again. "I should have told you the truth when you gave me the chance." That was closer, but still incomplete. Your person did not want to send another message filled with hints. They did not want you to interpret vague words and wonder what was real. They wanted to speak clearly enough that you would never again mistake their silence for the absence of feeling. Do not skip because the confession they finally wrote is the thing they need you to know immediately. They wrote, "I cared more than I allowed you to see. I became distant because the connection frightened me, not because it meant nothing. I thought protecting myself would prevent pain, but it only created pain for both of us. I do not know what your heart holds now, and I will respect the truth, but I cannot continue allowing you to believe that you were easy for me to forget." Your person read those words repeatedly. Each sentence made them feel exposed, yet also relieved. For the first time, their message matched the truth inside their heart. Stay till the end, because they did not send it immediately. Something else happened before their finger reached the button. A notification appeared from someone connected to the situation. The message contained a photograph, a screenshot, or a small reminder of you. It was not sent to create drama. The person simply believed your person should see it. In the image, you appeared to be moving forward, Perhaps you were smiling during an ordinary moment. Perhaps you were standing beside people who cared about you. Perhaps nothing in the image clearly revealed your emotional life, yet your person reacted strongly, because they suddenly imagined a future where your happiness no longer had any connection to them. They were glad to see you doing well, but the possibility of becoming a permanent stranger filled them with fear. Do not skip, because this was the moment they understood time would not wait forever. Your person had been acting as if the door would remain available whenever they finally became courageous. They assumed they could reach out next week, next month, or someday when every emotion felt easier to manage, but the image reminded them that your life is continuing. You are growing, changing, meeting people, making decisions, and healing in ways they may know nothing about. They cannot expect you to remain emotionally frozen while they struggle with fear. Stay till the end, because this realization did not make them want to control you. It made them want to stop hiding the truth from you before the opportunity for an honest conversation disappears completely. They returned to the message and added another paragraph. I am not asking you to stop your life or ignore what my distance caused. I am asking for one truthful conversation before we decide that silence should be the final answer. Your person knows this message cannot erase the past. They understand that words alone cannot rebuild trust. If their inconsistency hurt you, you have the right to say so. If your feelings have changed, they must accept it. If part of you still cares but is afraid, they must show patience. Do not skip because your person is no longer looking only for the response they desire. They are preparing to hear the response that is real. This change is important because in the past, your person may have wanted reassurance without responsibility. They wanted to know you cared, but were afraid to show equal vulnerability. They hoped you would take the first risk. They believed that if you reached out strongly enough, they could finally feel safe. But love cannot remain healthy when one person is always expected to prove the connection, while the other hides. Your person now sees that they helped create the uncertainty they blamed you for. Stay till the end, because they are finally willing to take responsibility, without using fear as an excuse. They remember moments when they tested your feelings silently. Sometimes they became distant to see whether you would notice. Sometimes they replied slowly, hoping you would ask what was wrong. Sometimes they acted unaffected after a meaningful conversation, because they wanted to know whether you would return. You did not know you were being tested. You may have interpreted those actions as a lack of interest and stepped back to protect yourself. Your person now understands that hidden tests create hidden wounds. Do not skip, because their urgent message includes an apology for every question they expected you to answer, without ever asking it aloud. Your person wrote, I am sorry I made you guess. I am sorry I expected you to read emotions. I worked so hard to hide. I am sorry if my silence made you question your value. The confusion was not created because you were not enough. It was created because I was afraid to admit how important you had become. These words carry a truth your person has avoided for a long time. You became important before they were ready. The connection touched a vulnerable part of them. Instead of allowing closeness to grow naturally, they tried to control it. Stay till the end, because control never removed their feelings. It only prevented you from seeing them. After writing the apology, your person remembered the exact moment they first realized they were falling for you. It was not during a dramatic event. It happened in an ordinary conversation, when you noticed something about them that others usually missed. Perhaps you recognized when their smile was forced. Perhaps you remembered a small detail they had mentioned. Perhaps you listened without interrupting, while they spoke about something they rarely shared. In that moment, your person felt understood. The feeling was beautiful, but it was also frightening. Do not skip, because they had spent years believing that being deeply known would eventually be used against them. Your person may have experienced a past where vulnerability led to disappointment. They learned to protect themselves by revealing only controlled pieces of emotion. When you began seeing beyond that control, they felt exposed. They wanted to move closer, yet every step toward you awakened the fear of losing something meaningful. They responded by becoming inconsistent. One day they were warm, the next day they were distant. One conversation felt intimate, the next felt ordinary. You may have questioned whether the connection existed only in your imagination. Stay till the end, because your person is now admitting that every meaningful moment was real, even when their behavior later contradicted it. They wrote, "I know my actions confused you. I know love should not require someone to search for proof beneath distance. You deserved clarity, and I gave you mixed signals, because I had not learned how to remain present when my feelings became serious." This admission is not a promise that everything will suddenly become perfect. Your person still has fears. But something huge has changed. They are no longer pretending those fears are your fault. They are beginning to separate their old wounds from the connection with you. Do not skip, because they want to approach you as someone responsible for healing, not as someone expecting you to repair every insecurity. Your person understands that you are not responsible for saving them. They do not want to place the entire weight of their emotional life upon you. They are not saying your love must erase every fear or prove their worth. They are saying your connection revealed where they still need to grow. It showed them that avoidance can feel safe in the moment, while quietly destroying the very thing they hope to protect. Stay till the end, because this urgent message is as much about change as it is about love. They have decided to stop communicating through silence. If they need time, they want to explain it. If they feel afraid, they want to admit it before fear turns into distance. If a misunderstanding appears, they want to ask rather than assume. These may sound like simple promises, but for your person, they represent a completely different way of loving. Do not skip, because they are not asking you to trust these words immediately. They know trust must be created through repeated action. Your person added, "You do not have to believe every promise tonight. Watch what I do after this message. If I disappear again, my words mean nothing. If I remain honest, patient, and consistent, then perhaps we can discover what the connection should have become." This line reveals maturity that may not have existed before. They understand that an emotional confession is only the opening. A lasting connection requires presence after the intense moment fades. Stay till the end, because your person is prepared for the possibility that you may need time before responding. They know you may read the message and feel several emotions at once. Part of you may feel relief because the truth confirms what you once sensed. Part of you may feel angry because honesty arrived after so much confusion. Part of you may want to answer immediately, while another part may fear returning to the same pattern. Your person is not asking you to silence any of those reactions. They want to hear them. Do not skip, because they finally recognize that your pain deserves space beside their confession. For too long, your person focused on their own fear of rejection. They rarely considered how their behavior may have caused you to reject yourself. Perhaps you questioned whether you were too emotional, too hopeful, or too willing to believe in the connection. Perhaps you blamed your heart for recognizing something your person refused to confirm. Their message now says, "You were not foolish for feeling what was real. I was afraid to give that reality a name. Stay till the end, because those words may heal a question you have carried silently." Your person wants you to know that they did not forget you during the distance. They noticed your absence in ordinary moments. They imagined telling you good news. They wondered what advice you would give during difficult days. They missed the specific way you understood their humor. They remembered how conversations with you could make time feel different. They tried to replace those feelings with distractions, but distractions never created the same sense of being known. Do not skip, because the connection remained alive inside them, even while communication appeared completely still. There were nights when they opened your profile, your old messages, or a photograph connected to you. They did not always stay long. Sometimes seeing you made the regret too intense. They would close everything and tell themselves to move forward. But the next day, another reminder would return. Your person began realizing that forgetting was not happening because the story had never been understood. Stay till the end, because people can sometimes release a completed ending, but an unanswered connection keeps asking to be examined. Now the waiting has begun, and your person understands that the next movement must come from truth rather than pressure. They have said what fear once prevented them from saying. Whether your answer opens a new beginning or brings peaceful closure, they are finally prepared to stop allowing assumptions to decide the future for both hearts. My beloved child, the person you love is urging you to read this immediately, because they have finally reached the point where hiding is more painful than honesty. Something huge just happened. They learned that you never wanted the connection to end through confusion, and those words awakened every feeling they tried to silence. They looked at the past, recognized their mistakes, and wrote the message they once deleted. Stay till the end, because the final sentence carries the truth behind everything. Your person wrote, "I do not expect you to forget what happened. I only ask you not to mistake my fear for the absence of love. You mattered then, you matter now, and whatever happens next, I needed to stop allowing silence to lie for me." This is the one thing they could no longer carry into another day. Do not skip, because a heart that once hid behind distance is finally standing inside the truth. The message is open. The confession has been sent. The next chapter will not be decided by hints, pride, or other people's assumptions. It will be decided by honesty, boundaries, patience, and the actions that follow. Read carefully, feel honestly. Respond only when you are ready to speak from truth rather than fear. Stay till the end, because your person is not asking you to abandon your peace. They are asking whether truth can finally be allowed to enter it. If this message touched your heart, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and write in the comments, "I choose truth over silent fear." Share this message with someone who needs to remember that mixed signals do not define their worth, and that real love must eventually become brave enough to communicate clearly. The person you love has stopped pretending. They have admitted what the distance was hiding. Something huge has already happened inside their heart, and now the honest conversation both of you avoided may be closer than either of you realizes.